If the Norse god Thor appeared on a modern battlefield, military doctrine would classify him as a Class 4 hypermobile kinetic impact platform. The immediate aerial response would involve fifth-generation stealth fighters entering the airspace to establish control. Coordinated naval bombardment would follow, utilizing offshore Aegis systems to track and fire upon the high-speed target. Aegis is a centralized, automated weapon system that uses advanced radar to guide interceptor missiles. Standard 5.56mm infantry rounds and 30mm chain gun fire lack the force to penetrate. This is a being recorded wading through boiling rivers and withstanding the weight of mountains. Engaging a biological entity of this density with conventional ballistic arms is statistically irrelevant. Thor's physiology represents a hard target requirement that infantry cannot meet. Mjolnir functions as an autonomous, perfectly tracking kinetic interceptor. It acts as a smart weapon that never misses its target, regardless of evasive maneuvers. This vector-based bar chart shows the massive disparity in energy output. A single hammer strike releases an estimated 10 to the 15th joules of force, matching the impact of a Mach 20 hypersonic projectile. This divine lock-on mechanism nullifies billions of dollars in low radar cross-section technology. Stealth and advanced electronic warfare are ineffective against a weapon that ignores radar and infrared signatures. Humanity is facing an enemy with infinite kinetic potential, who cannot be outmaneuvered or outgunned in the physical domain. Reaching the hard kill threshold requires 30,000-pound massive ordnance penetrators delivered by a B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. A tactical nuclear strike would be the absolute final kinetic option. This would subject the target to an extreme thermal pulse and dynamic overpressure measured in millions of pounds per square inch. However, mythological records suggest Thor possesses fate shielding, a form of conceptual invulnerability. During his wrestling match against Ellie, the personification of old age, Thor only succumbed when the abstract concept of time was applied against him, rather than physical force. This suggests that as long as his death is governed by the prophecy of Ragnarok, physical trauma like a nuclear blast may simply be ignored. Any amount of heat, pressure, or kinetic impact is useless against a being fated to die under specific, non-ballistic conditions. A modern army's fuel-dependent supply chain is fragile compared to Thor's infinite logistics. His goat steeds, Tangrisnir and Tangnjoster, provide a self-resurrecting source of food and hypersonic transport. Humanity's true Achilles heel is the global economy's total reliance on fragile physical infrastructure, such as undersea fiber optic cables. By simply wading across the ocean floor and stomping on these cables, Thor would instantly disintegrate global internet and financial data routes. He could also trigger a localized EMP by redirecting 2 trillion watts of lightning into transformer nodes. This would physically explode SCADA networks, the computerized systems used to control regional power and water distribution. A few surgical strikes against these nodes would trigger an instantaneous civilizational and economic collapse, ending the conflict before a single soldier reaches the front lines. Military strategy must pivot from explosive physics to the only known vulnerability in Norse prophecy, Eitur. Eitur is the primordial life venom of the world serpent, the only substance fated to kill Thor. This mythological weakness represents a highly specific biochemical vulnerability targeting his neuromuscular system. Modern medicine can replicate ether using weaponized neurotoxins like VX gas or synthetic peptides from terrestrial vipers. By delivery via aerosolized clouds, modern science can bypass Thor's mountain-resistant skin entirely through the respiratory system. Once inhaled, a synthetic digital ether would target the nervous system internally, calculating molecular structures that bind to and paralyze acetylcholine receptors. Aerosolized drone clouds carrying this highly concentrated neurotoxin represent the ultimate god-killing payload, silently and efficiently exploiting his internal biology. There is also a secondary physical countermeasure, exploiting the metallic properties of Mjolnir and Thor's required iron gloves. This schematic shows a high-temperature superconducting toroidal vacuum chamber. It generates a multi-Tesla magnetic confinement field. This field uses Thor's kinetic force against him via magnetic recoil, suspending him in a vacuum without leverage or access to lightning. Once these advanced biochemical or magnetic countermeasures are fully deployed, the devastating battlefield falls into a quiet, residual silence. Humanity defeats the divine by decoding, replicating, and weaponizing the very laws of reality to force a god's prophecy into the modern age.